Hey everyone, I'm Lucavario, and welcome to my comprehensive 1.0 Crysta guide. I am the #1 Crysta player in North America and probably the world, and I just wanted to thank everybody for being patient with me, because I've taken a while to get to this because it's important to me and I wanted to make sure it's thorough. I'm going to make sure to leave timestamps in the description of all of the different things that we're covering if you want to skip around, and I would appreciate if you would give it a like and a subscribe and share this with the Crysta players in your lives, because I will have more content coming out soon, and I'm just going to hop right into it. Okay, so we're going to start out with just Crysta's basic abilities. Her left click, her auto, is one of the worst autos in the game. It moves very slowly and it does very little damage, but it's a necessary weakness for Crysta to have because it helps facilitate her passive, which is that every time you land a spell with Crysta, enemies have a stack of reverberation around them. And if you auto them, that reverberation stack is consumed and it refunds a portion of your dash cooldown. Before dash level 4, it refunds 2 seconds, and then upon leveling your dash to 4, it refunds half of a charge of your dashes. Crysta's R&B is her Flux Snare, which is a boomerang that she sends out, where you can tap it and it goes out and then comes back. With Crysta's Flux Snare, she can, if you hold down R&B, bend it. And so you can do very hard bends where you can go 90 degrees or more, or it can just be very slight. And so a lot of Crysta's skill expression comes from learning to bend her R&B and weave her autos in between her spells, so that she can get lots of reverberation procs, and therefore lots of dashes. Crysta's dash is, as it seems, a dash, but it is also an auto reset. So if you auto and then dash and then immediately click again, you will reset your auto attack timer and be able to very quickly send 3 autos downrange, because when you dash, your next auto will have 2 bullets instead of 1. And then Crysta's Q ability is her Magic Reactive Burst, which is a large circle in a long range that you can send out, and you can re-press the button to reactivate it. It will also reactivate on its own after 3 seconds. So you can kind of use it as either a zoning tool to make sure that, people can't push through here, or, you can just send it out and immediately detonate it for damage. And then Crysta's ultimate, Nuclearite Salvo, sends out 5 waves of missiles that do damage at a long range and also proc her passive. When your ultimate procs your passive, it does less damage than when your LMB procs your passive, but it still gives you the refund on the charge. And so on Crysta, typically you're going to be playing at a long to medium range, and then when you land your abilities, it allows you to come in at a closer range and kind of play around that. And then Crysta also has the advantage of being able to hit people around corners and walls. And so often you'll see me kind of pull the Zoomerang around. And often, if somebody's playing behind this pillar, you'll see me kind of dash to the other side and throw my Q behind it. And that's sort of a basic combo. One other thing to note about Crysta is that her ultimate, once it's cast, makes you float in the abyss, so you won't lose height. And so that can be another useful way to use your ultimate, is if you're getting chased and you're falling and you're falling and you're falling, you can cast this and you'll stay towards the bottom of the abyss, and it will make it difficult for people to follow you. Alright, now with the basics out of the way, I am now going to send us to the meat and potatoes of the guide, which was recorded live on my Twitch channel, which you should also check out, because I go live and do educational Crysta and Mercury gameplay very frequently. For Crysta, unfortunately, every single game you're just going to go Shift Max. I wish there were a build in the game in which you were able to go Q-Max again. Because Q-Max was really fun. But it's just never happening. So every game, our build order is going to be generally, if we are dropping with our team on a camp, start R&B, and we're going to save R&B to stagger the camp.
Okay.
If you're dropping on a camp on your own, like if you're completely uncontested and you split off on a camp on your own, I start Q, just because alone your Q will like one-shot the smalls, or I leave them with one auto left, depending, and that will give you level 2, which will give you the ability to stagger if the camp was like a sniper camp and didn't immediately stagger. But if you start Q with your team and you kill the 3 small minions, that doesn't get you level 2, and then your Q is a 8.5 second cooldown level 3, and it's a like 12 second cooldown, something like that. Yeah, 11.5 level 1, and so if you use that early, and then somebody pushes you, you're cooked. Generally, you're gonna get dash level 2, and then either R&B or Q, depending on which one you didn't go, and then we're leveling up dash to 4 at 6. And then there's kind of 2 diverging schools of thought on the next order to max. I generally prefer Q max second, because if we look at our effective range of where the max range I can hit with the R&B is, right? I'm out of range here, but I'm in range here. And so for the purposes of like Diadem, Chrono Gauge, Burning Palm, which it tends to be the build that I run, you're able to keep your neutral up more consistently with bigger chunks of this. This does 460 damage once it's maxed, whereas that's a 20% less damage on something that you're pretty consistently throwing out and going to be hitting enemies with for the most part is good. It also is nice because level 1 RMB is on a 9.5 second cooldown. So when you're in that sort of level 8, level 9, where you don't have points in your RMB yet, very consistently, your Q and your RMB will always be up at the same time if you're throwing out your full combo. Whereas if you're going RMB max second, your RMB is going to be 4 seconds longer, or 4 seconds shorter than your Q. So a lot of times you'll be throwing out RMBs and not immediately being able to follow up with your Q. And like that's guaranteed damages, Crysta. If you're landing your RMB, you should always land your Q because they're grounded enough for you to throw it.
I like the damage.
Yeah,
I think it's easier to hit. So for me, it's a little bit more.
It's technically a little bit more damage if you hit both sides. Not much more damage. It's a little bit more. So if you like RMB, it's totally fine to go RMB. It's also honestly fine to even level them. I just tend to find it is more useful for teams who aren't letting you push them and are kind of keeping you in neutral.
Better poke.
It's better poke, exactly. And like, if I ult and they run away and they're staying out of my range, it's a lot easier for me to get my ult back with Diadem and Chrono and stuff like that if I'm just able to poke them and chunk them out. And again, like, especially until very late game, like we'll talk about this in the mid game, it's very rare that you are going to see a completely full health target with all of their abilities and cooldowns and just dash and dump everything on them and one-shot them. It just doesn't happen. So generally what you want to be doing more is like looking to hit them with a Q, and then when that's about up, then a dash R&B Q, and then back up, and then when it's back up, then you dash in and hit the full combo, and then they're low enough and like have expended enough resources that you're able to get the 80% to 0 or whatever it is. And when you have R&B max, the opportunity to get those little poke windows are it's longer in between them, and you're going to be getting less opportunities to chain into your ult if you manage to land a combo, because you just won't have your Q available for a combo. As for the passive and R&B and stuff like that, we have just enough time after we throw our R&B out to get 2 autos in if we don't use shift. So you have the chance, if you're like don't have your shift, you can get both of those autos out so that it procs both passives like basically instantly. A lot of the time, especially earlier game, when you aren't going to just continue to be able to chain your passives and your abilities, it can be a little bit better to wait to throw out the rest of your spells until you're sure that you're about to proc your passive, or you've like been missing your shit so much you just need to get more damage off on, and throw your Q at your feet and get them off at you, kind of thing.
Yes.
But you'll see a lot if I don't have ult up, or if like I really need to be mindful of my passive damage and like getting maximal procs. I'll play the combo more slowly and wait to hit the next ability until my auto is either hit them or is about to hit them.
Right. So you shoot the auto and then throw the ability.
Yeah, exactly. This becomes a lot easier when you have shifts to play around with, because your shift resets your auto. So, you can auto, shift, auto, Q, shift, auto, Q2, auto, shift, auto, ult, shift, You know, over and over and over again. You know, Crysta's auto sucks. It's buns, it's ass. I'm level 15 and my auto does 129 damage for the hardest auto to land in the game. You know, if I were to switch over to, let's go our new darling Mercury.
Quick question: Does the passive, the double shot on the Shiv's passive, does that apply only one passive proc?
Yes, passive procs are irrespective of the autos. In fact, funnily enough, if you stand right next to the Shrike, if I have passive on both of you and I shift auto, you moved out of the way, but you can do it so you can proc two passives on two different targets, but it's
double auto.
Yeah, it's very, very tight. It's happened to me like twice ever in a real game, but you can technically see I did hit both of you there.
Yep.
So
interesting.
You know, so I got two passives with one auto there, but that's never going to happen. It's never something you should actually play for. But only one auto will indeed proc the passive.
I noticed that you dash into their face a lot.
Yes.
Is that just ease of hitting your double autos?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of everything. When you're dashing in and you fire your auto, the reason Crysta auto is so hard to hit is because it's pretty fast from like almost 2/3 of the way into your like R&B range, and then it gets really slow and really easy to dodge. And so like at a range, because it's already pretty slow, you're not really ever going to be winning auto fights in neutral. And so what Crysta's really good at is we're playing around corners and we're playing around geometry and looking for passives where I can then, you know, get a passive proc on you and then I'm going to dash auto. Right, and especially on a lot of those times, like when I'm hitting you around a corner, I'm gonna take a second to make sure I'm lining up my auto to land it, because that's gonna be my easiest chance to hit it. And if I miss the first one, it's gonna be a lot harder to hit them afterwards. Again, generally we're playing at range, or you know, around geometry to get passive procs onto people. And then late game, if you have a passive proc on someone at all, and it's not like painfully fucking obvious that you're trolling, if you dash in, like, because you know, sometimes it's a Felix and a Kingpin and a Hudson, and it's like, okay, if I dash in their face here, I'm gonna die. But in most situations, like level 10 plus, level 12 plus, if I have a passive proc on you, I'm going to dash in and ult. And then at that point, if it's like, you know, let's say you are doing that into a Kingpin, right? He sees you dash into him, you know, immediately I'm going to dash back and do the reset on the other passive. So, you know, I've got a passive on you. I dash in, auto, dash back, you know, and I'll throw like an R&B there too, and that gives me a whole nother dash. So now I can dash back in if I need to, or I can just keep kiting. Crysta, once you have the tools to play for that, you're able to be going in and out and dictating the pace of the fight versus most hunters. The way that proccing your passive for your dash refund works is, I'm pretty sure this is a holdover from back when it was a full charge, because it kind of doesn't really make sense. If I have passive on you and I have, let's say I've got, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, and I auto you with 1 second left, I get a 1 second refund on my dash, and it just brings me to the next.
So it doesn't carry over to the next charge.
It doesn't carry over to the next charge. So what you'll see me do, I mean, it's very hard to consciously do this in game, especially in an intense fight, but often you'll see me purposefully avoid proccing my passive until my next dash is back, and I can shift auto and get another half dash back, because otherwise there's no point in me landing the auto other than the slight extra damage. Being mindful of when proccing our passive, like making sure that we're not getting no value out of it. It doesn't do that much damage. When the passive is procced by your auto, it does more damage. When it's procced by your ult, it does less. It does like it's like, I don't know, like 66% of the damage approximately. And then the way that the passive works with your build is that LMB damage, obviously LMB damage, right? And when your passive is procced by your ultimate, it's ability damage, and it counts as an ability. When your passive is procced by your LMB, it also counts as an ability for the purposes of Chrono and Diadem or whatever, but it scales with both LMB damage and ability damage. Something like Soul Stealer Masamune is very strong because it makes your LMB passive procs really, really, really chunk. For the R&B, there's a couple of ways that we can use the curve. Generally, you know, you want to be aiming your R&B so that at the apex of the where it bounces is where the person gets hit. You know, if they're right in your face, it's much easier for them to dodge the second hit and like not get hit by the ground. And you obviously want to be hitting them with both sides because that gives you 2 passive procs. It does more damage, gives them the ground, etc., etc. So if you can, be trying to space for the RMB either so that they're at the apex, like where it flips, or so that they are near / against a wall that you can bounce it off of. Because Crysta Q works like Graves Q, where it is like it's faster and it bounces off a wall when you do it. And so sometimes you can use the RMB to curve it slightly so that like it hits a wall that's slightly to the left of them or to the right of them and bounces back more quickly and gives you the guaranteed hit. Another thing you want to be using the RMB curve for is in a situation like this. This bishop is obviously, wants to kill me. I want to kill her. If we think about her potential options for where she wants to go, if she's dodging my ability, she can't really meaningfully dodge down. If she dodges down and I like throw it right at her, then it's going to bounce off the tree and she's going to get grounded. She probably isn't going to go straight back because, again, she's not going to dodge the ability if she goes straight back. So she's still going to be in the range of it. And so you'll see here, like when I am thinking, what direction is she going to go in? Where is she going to maybe dash out? She's probably not going to go into me. I kind of can say, okay, definitely this right here is her only really meaningful escape, where she's going to create the maximal distance and dodge my ability. And so when I throw the RMB, I'm thinking she's going to see my RMB come out, right? She doesn't have time to go down to the tree. If she goes up here, she's going into my teammates, so that's bad for her, right? So I need to throw my cooldown in the way that forces her to either dodge in a way that's bad for her or get hit by the ability. And so I don't curve it hard. It's just a little bit up to the left, and so she dashes away, and now she's damaged. And so now I can dash in, and my RMB is going to be back up, and you'll see dash in.
Oh wow!
But I've got the passive immediately. If it's that kind of melee stun character, they're immediately going to use the cooldown on you every time. The Kingpin is always going to slam. The Bishop is always going to punch. The Brall is always going to air slam. It like 99.9% of the time. And so if you dash into their face, they're going to think, "What is this idiot doing?" But as long as you have like half a dash charge in your bank and they've got a passive proc, then dashing into them is going to ensure you hit that passive proc, and then you can just immediately dash back. So again, I dash it, and then this was less prediction and more just flicking, because I know the punch is going to push her forward and I see her move away from me, so I just flick up and get the knock. And then right here again, they have an Eva, they have a Myth. I don't want to let them push or get on or like trying to control this Wisp at all. It was a mistake to detonate that. I should just leave that. Most of the time, if you ever are throwing a Q down that is not immediately going to land, leaving it there so that it is you can't walk here space is more value. Because the Q goes on cooldown as soon as you send it out, not as soon as you detonate it. But doing all that got me my ult back, so I'm just gonna ult in and dash. And I overshoot a little bit here because this was pretty early in, I think, and I'm like still getting used to rocket boots, so it was kind of fun. I was doing a lot of overestimating my dash. Once you have them in that state of they have passive procs on them, you've got cooldowns, they're not 100% full health. Crysta's a melee assassin. Too many people play Crysta like this, like ranged artillery character, and she has value like that. It's not like she is useless, but her spells are too slow for her to consistently be playing at max range to get very much value. And so it's a lot of looking and fishing until you can go in and out. And then once you're in your melee range and you're saving your dashes to dodge their things or keep chasing them.
It seems to me like from what I've seen, anybody except like a Shiv or a Brall, you can pretty much chase down if you're hitting your passive stacks. And Crysta is one of the worst chasing hunters in the game, actually, because if you're not having your passive stacks, she has a very, very long dash, and her spells are slow, so people running away from them can pretty easily run out of them. And it's one of the things that makes her not really actually a strong artillery mage, is if they're near the max range of your ability and you throw your stuff out, they don't even need to use a dash. They can just step out of it. But if they're like closer to like 66%, 75% of the range, now it's a dash check. And then if they're like right in your face, then they can't really dash from it unless they're predicting your abilities. This is release 1.0 Joule, so I'm just going to ignore her because she's doesn't do anything. Now I would be less willing to do that because she'll one-shot me, but I'm looking to help my teammate here because he's facing an Eva, and Beebo is not going to easily be able to help her, but Beebo can help me if the Joule tries to fuck with me. So
again, a lot of if your teammate is getting dove, especially by melee players or whatever, a lot of the times don't be shooting your Q onto where the enemy is. Shoot your Q onto where your teammate is. Because if they want to continue pushing and fighting your teammate, they have to walk through your Q, which they get slowed just from being inside of it, and they also get slowed from taking damage. So you're providing your teammate kiting help. In this case, they were literally right on top of each other, so it's both and, but just good to think about. Same deal where if we're talking about looking at the R&B bent, about cutting off where enemies can go, right? I initially see Brall going this way, but again, if somebody is ever moving away from you with any amount of speed on Crysta, your spells will not reach them. They just are too slow to get there. You've got very slow projectile speed. Right. So there's no universe where I hit that Brall. So I'm immediately going to flick over to the enemy that's actually hittable. Right. And so again, you see, I throw it, I auto. Now that I know that I hit the first auto, I'm going to immediately throw the Q, and I see that my RMB isn't going to rebend here. You know, you often have to make a trade-off of, do I reposition myself as Crysta to get the RMB2 hit in the ground, or do I WASD so that I dodge stuff? And sometimes you get to do both, sometimes you can kind of do neither. But here I choose to kind of position to prevent them from, because again, I've got my team here, I've got my team here. If they want to be going somewhere, right, they're going to be wanting to exit out this way, and so I'm trying to like physically cut off their ability to get out that way. And then I reset shift down, miss the shot, but she's got a passive on her, and even though I don't have any abilities up, right, I've got a dash up and I've got my ult, and she's got a passive, so that I know that if I just ult and then dash in, at the very least, I'm gonna get a full dash back, right? And so I do, and I kill her, and then again I kind of overshoot because I go a little bit too far back here, so I have to go around. Yeah. Where's he gonna go here, right? He can't really feasibly go this way. Doesn't really make sense. He gets trapped, right? And he's not gonna go up or down because that's where my Joule are. So it only really makes sense for him to go this way. I'm not gonna be able to hit him unless I hard curve the RMB 90 degrees, and then I catch him with the ground, and he dies. A lot of the times you'll not need to be landing every ability for the damage to kill them. You just want to be putting them in a position where either they get hit by your abilities or they put themselves into a bad position. You know, the kind of thing where, you know, if somebody is right here, I might put my Q in the doorway and then bend my RMB to the left. So if they go right through the doorway, they get hit by the Q and slowed and have a passive proc. Sure. And if they dodge left, they get hit by that. And it's less important that I land both more than that I land anything at all. And then obviously the other use for bending your RMB is to go around corners. And you're going to be catching most players by surprise when you hit them with this, because I see very, very few Crystas meaningfully bending their RMBs at all. And it's pretty hard actually to go like hard around a corner and catch somebody. Like harder than you would think.
Early, right?
Yeah, you have to do it early, and you also have to go farther out than you would think. Because like a lot of times you like throw it and then you'll immediately go left, and it just clunks into the corner. I'll kind of slow this down. Again, I see passive proc. If I have a passive proc on somebody, it opens up my ability to play aggressively on them so much more. Because again, guaranteed, if I dash into them, I'm getting half of that dash back.
The boomerang procs the passive?
The boomerang does not proc the passive, it just reapplies it. But again, even though this Crysta is right here, he's the one who's lower, he's the one with the passive proc, I'm just jumping past her and hitting the passive proc. And then now that I've thrown the auto at him and I've gotten the passive proc, now I can reevaluate my priorities because I've gotten the refund of my dash, I've got a dash back, and all my abilities are coming back. So, you know, we're going to do our bread and butter combo, right? We see she's not going to go this way. She's going to go down to help her team out, and because it feels more natural to go around the cover for help. So, you know, we're just, these are just very slight bends, right? Just a tiny little bit to the right so that it catches the corner of the wall and bounces immediately back, right? And then again, our bread and butter combo is going to be in the middle of our R and B going out, we're pressing QR. Right? And then as soon as our R goes off, we're pressing Q again. And so now I've got a passive proc on him, right? As soon as I get the
one up.
Yep. And then again, she's here. So now I can go like that. And I'm throwing the R&B. And again, where is she going? She's not going up here, right? Because she just gets caught. I've got too much momentum. My team is going. She's not going out here because that's just in the range of my ability. So she's definitely going down. So you see, I can see her starting to move down, but I'm already swinging my R&B way down really fast. And so I swing it from here in a curve all the way to here. And so it sends it like out and then down like that. And you can think about where is the player trying to go? Where is their direction that they can go that will give them the only chance of getting out and surviving? And, here it's pretty obviously down. And so kind of no matter what she does, she's fucked here. Because if she dashes left, again, that's where my momentum's already carrying me. So she has to dash back. I mean, if she had dashed downward like this, that would have been really well played, and she would have had a higher chance of getting out. She still probably dies. Yep. But she plays right into the beautiful curve. And again, I have to slow it really far down because there's so much happening. But we have the R&B, and I shoot the auto, and then I throw out the Q. And I miss the auto, and that's fine. But the Q, and then the dash, and then I miss the auto. So I just throw the R&B again. And then, again, I'm thinking, if she goes this way, right, she dies. So her only chance here is to go down. And so she dies before it happens. But again, like if her dash came back up, I guarantee you she would have dashed back into my second R&B again. We're talking about the passive again. About how in a situation where we need to maximize our damage and or maximize our chrono / diadem procs to get our ult back, we need to be a lot more careful with how we're using the abilities. I've got no ult. I've got nothing but Q and R&B here. So I'm gonna do the basic, throw my R&B, and then one of the nicer things about fighting with camps is that you can proc your passive off of camps, and you can proc chrono off of camps as well. Full passive. Yep. And so hitting him here is I get the passive and then I shift auto, and that gives me just enough cooldown to get my ult back. And so because I was like a little more careful about trying to hit my passive and play it more slowly, I now have my full ult back, and so now this Felix can't get away. And is just, again, thinking about where he's going, that he could possibly live, right? It's not to the right, my team's to the right. It's not up, my team can easily cover up. So it's going to be like to the left and down. So as soon as I get those first shots, I'm now going to dash to his only chance of escape. And it, it doesn't matter. He's going to die anyway. But we're thinking about possibility. Another one right here where I don't have ult, but I do have my regular cooldowns. So this is one of the reasons I kind of like Qmax right there is they are not in the range of my R&B, right? My shit's down, but because I'm able to max range, tap them with 2, that's a decent chunk. Like that chunk enough makes it a lot more likely that if I full dump a combo on them, they die and get downed instead of getting out with 1 HP. And that's just not possible with R&B max. And look, see how the R&B and the Q are synced up again? I mean, I'm at a point where I have another point in my R&B. So if I didn't have another point in my R&B, it would be another second, and they would be exactly synced up. So that's kind of why I like that style. And then here again, no ults, but it's up soon. My teammate is getting pushed, so I'm going to jump. And again, where is the Zeph going? The Zeph has to go to the right. It doesn't make sense for him to go anywhere else. So we're just going to give it a little thing to the right, and then as soon as possible, we're going to throw the Q, and then we're going to auto-shift auto, right, to get the passive proc. And then now he's got another passive. As soon as I get the passive proc, I'm going to detonate the Q, and now he's got another passive on him, so I can dash, dash, and he's one shot.
Wow.
Next, I want to talk about playing in the Abyss a little bit. She is one of the strongest ranged hunters in the Abyss. She obviously is not going to beat out Wukong or Jin or Brall. For the most part, it's just never happening. She's one of the hardest hunters to chase. She is very good at kiting. She is not as great at chasing. And so if you can go in and dump everything but your ult on them, and then ult, and then like be dashing out into the Abyss to bait them out, you're going to be winning those fights almost every single time. Like it's very, very easy to trick people into thinking, oh, he just used all of his cooldowns and both of his dashes and his ult, and now he's running away. He's weak. Let's chase him. So this isn't great. I don't do a good job of using my abilities here, right? And so I don't have passive procs. I don't have passive procs on either of them. So what I just need to do is I need to focus on getting a passive proc and then dashing out into the Abyss. So right there, I get a passive proc, and then I dash.
Another one, yeah.
And so now, is exactly what we want, right? They're using their dashes because I'm low and they think I have no cooldowns to chase me over the abyss. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw out our RMB max range, and then we're going to go throw a Q like where kind of we are, where they think that we're going to go. So you see I throw the RMB, right? I hit both of them here. I'm going to throw out an auto. As soon as I get the auto passive proc, I'm dashing down. Because if I keep going this way, they're going to catch up to me and they're going to mantle. And it's bad news, right? So I'm going to dash down, and right as I was dashing down, my Q came off cooldown, and I threw it right where I was aiming before, right? It's right here, and then the second it comes up, it's really hard to see in the air.
Yeah, they're going to chase you to where you are. So
exactly.
You're throwing it at your feet, dashing away, or I guess dashing
slightly where I just was, right? And so, you know, now he's fucked, and now that resets my dash, so I can just dash in, throw my stuff. Yeah, we catch him and he dies. Let's talk about Crysta early game. A decent number of these clips will be pre 1.0, just because, again, I have more, and also Crysta now post 1.0 is worse early.
Yep. You did mention something about her auto attacks being ass.
Yes, she does indeed have the most ass auto attacks.
I've noticed.
So like that's even though her spells can actually kind of hit a little bit hard early game, you just are going to like, especially before Carbine became Ultra Chungus, like a level 6 Crysta is going to consistently lose to a level 2 or 3 Carbine, because the Carbine can just left click you to death instantly, and you can't do the same. And so you just have to be careful. Here I made a mistake and started my Q. But so like the actual very start of the early game is not super strong, but I'm not even helping my team here, right? It's so imperative that I get access to more of my spells, because I'm fucking chungus and useless and bad. And so I'm just going to focus on that, right? And then my teammate is downed, so they're probably going to go for me. So I'm just throwing autos and then shifting back, and I predict that he shifts into me. And then I'm just spacing here. I space the heat shield. Just playing slow, not using our spells. Our dash, like misusing your dash early is just game losing, because it's on a 15-second cooldown. And even if you proc all 3 passives from landing a perfect ability sequence, which is a lot harder to do when you don't have more shifts to set up your shit, that's still only taking less than half of the cooldown off of 1 dash. So like, it feels really, really, really awful. But I space out, get some of their cooldowns. My teammate, who is actually useful, because it's a ghost and he can just LMB, does some damage to the ghost and gets it to the point where I can just get in his face and kill him, right? And then again, now there's a melee hunter, right? Instead of aiming it at the melee hunter, I'm putting the Q on the ground at my feet. And if he wants to chase me,
the ghost,
right? He walks into it, he takes damage, he's got a proc, and now it's very easy for us to ensure that he loses. More early game fighting, woohoo. So here, again, this time I start RMB, and I wait, and boom, as soon as I get the passive proc, that's great, because I'm able to hit her, right? So I'm just going to this time I'm just going to throw it again, because she's already low, and she's fighting my team, and if, like, I want to put enough damage onto Shiv that it's feasible for my team to kill them. And because I know the first one is going to hit, or because I know it's going to hit, because she's grounded, like she can't do anything. So I'm going to get the double. I'm going to get both hits. I get the auto on her. It doesn't matter. She dies to my teammate, or my teammate dies to her, and she gets full healed. So this is looking very bad. So again, here I'm just prioritizing making sure that I get a level. And then I hear that they res, right, as my teammate is about to go do that. So I know for sure there are about to be 2 very low people here, and I'm going to have my dash. So I do that, but it's looking a little too cooked, because it's a Celeste Shrike Shiv to fully dash into quite yet. So I'm saving my dashes to dodge important things. So I dodge Shrike Stun there, which is very important. And then again, these guys are low, and they both have passive procs on them. So I'm just going to kind of slowly make my way over so that I'm no longer kind of at risk from taking damage from the Shiv. I'm a bit of a silly Billy, because sometimes we're all silly Billies, but I'm avoiding fighting I'm avoiding fighting the thing that will fucking immediately we will lose. Because I can at least tank 1 shot from the Shrike. If you tank 1 shot from a Shiv, it's over, because she can chain those a lot more easily. So again, I am avoiding the ability to take damage from the Shiv at all, because also, even if I fuck up the Shiv and she knocks my Elluna, she's full HP again. And there's just no winning. Okay. So I am identifying the weakest link. You are the weakest link, Celeste. You have no wall. Whee! Early fighting on Crysta is so entertaining. Okay, so my Elluna did die. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, bro. I don't give a shit. Fuck it. So we get the knock. Again, that RMB shift auto backwards. Yeah, guaranteed passive proc. Every time. If you land the RMB and you shift auto backwards while on them, you will hit the passive proc and both autos. Again, you know, putting where does she want to go so that she can hit me? She wants to go here. I'm not shooting it at her. I'm shooting it where she wants to go. And then they're going to go for the res, telling me exactly. I just know that the Shiv missed her shift auto and she's down here. So I have the ability to do whatever I want. And again, you curve so it bounces into the wall, right? Yep. If I throw it out like that, I lose the game because it doesn't come back in time for me to not die.
And it only bounces back on the way out. Once it starts coming back, if it hits a wall, it dies, right?
Yes. If it hits a wall, it dies.
Yeah. Okay.
And it also can like if it hits the side of a wall, it can just instantly die. It's kind of weird how it works. But and then this is just I win this because the Shiv misplays and not because I outplay necessarily. I am landing the things, but if the Shiv had just played that better, I should lose that every time. This is again not necessarily a fight you really want to be taking. You know, level 4, 4-3 versus 4-4 with a Carbine. And I think the thing is also 4. Something, I mean, this is less the case now in 1.0, but still, in the middle of the fight here, even though my teammate's getting fucked up, I take a second to upgrade so that I have CDR. Because if I don't, we just lose. Because like I just went from 0% CDR to 22%, and I have a Swift Blade, and then now boom, I'm at 38% CDR. So it was worth trading my teammate's life there to come remotely online, because now I have Vive and I have damage and CDR. That's all. Like it's slightly less applicable in the days of 1.0, but you'll still see me do it where like my team is getting their ass kicked a little bit and I stop and I buy my relics and some potions, because you're just going to lose no matter what if you don't do that. So teammates are low, one's dead, one's low, but we have one enemy who's low, who just used his dash, right? And then I put my Q on my teammate to try and sort of, you know, provide at least a remote amount of protection, but it doesn't matter. So teammate dies, right? My other teammate dashes in, and I'm like, oh no. Yeah, but I'm gonna put that to be defensive to him as much as possible, and then again, I'm not gonna pop it immediately. And then fortunately, I just throw my RMB and auto and kill this guy, and then I dash in. I probably could have saved my dash here, just in case, but it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna get it reset from the kill, and then now it's putting me closer to the people with both dashes up.
Yep.
And then again, now I'm just playing the auto game, and he dashes into me. You know what that means. If he's here, he beats me, you know, very easily. She does not beat me. So I'm going to dash in. I should have seen the wall coming out, but I don't. So I get pushed back into him. Like, this is a mistake. And if his RMB was out 1 second later, we lose, but it was out 1 second earlier. Wow. So I'm again going to get away from him. I don't care about him. I lose to him. We need to identify the hunters that we immediately lose to in early game scenarios, and we just don't fight them. It's not ever worth it. So I can just jump dash, throw my RMB. Now I've got my reset, right? Now I land an auto. Now I land another auto. Now I land a Q. Now we're looking, you know, now the game is very fightable. And so at this point, no matter what he does, he's not going to win, because I'm just going to jump, dash, glide, auto. And like that jump, dash, glide, auto, especially like kind of around corners, is so hard to dodge. And it's like it's the only time your auto is going to be really consistent is when you're going fast or like around a corner with your shift. I'm going to cover a lot of early game because I get a lot of questions about it. Avoid fighting, but you can't always avoid fighting, you know?
Yep. That's the best tip. I definitely fight pretty much exclusively after I get my ult.
Yeah.
I don't really.
And then, you know, but like here, like you can play off teammates. You know, if it looks good, it looks good. My team lands 420 lands a dash stun here, and so I'm just going to throw my shit into it. She unfortunately dashes the R&B, but I'm just going to dash, and I'm going to go for the auto, and I miss the auto. But I've put myself in a scenario where I've got plenty of cover from the actual... a level 3 Joule I don't care about. A level 3 Shiv with this much HP I don't care about. A level 3 Shrike I very much care about. But I'm angling myself so that I'm never really in danger from her. And then I'm just looking for the kill. And then once I get the dash reset, you know, now again I'm positioning myself so that I am no longer damageable in a significant, meaningful way. And I can but I can still throw my abilities out to hit the enemies. So you'll see I get both of them there. It's just very... They're lined up. They have no line of sight to me, but I know that if I toss out my R&B and curve it just a little bit, you know, again, I was here, and then I quickly flicks just on top of her. And then as soon as I'm done with the flick, I've now let go of the R&B, and because the Joule is pushing me, I'm now focused on this, right? And so I'm going to look to get the auto, and I'm backing off, and I'm see that I get that off of her. So I'm going to get just outside of the tree enough to throw the Q. The way that the Q works is if the very central line is interrupted by any geometry like whatsoever, it'll get stopped. As long as you have the tiniest slice of line of sight, you're going to be able to get it through. So again, I'm just going to throw it over both top of them. One of them dodges away from it. One of them isn't able to, dashes away. And I've now set up for my team to dominate the fight. Dash auto, get the reset. I pop Bloodstone here just in case the Shrike was going to hit me with an auto or whatever. Dash auto, reset, full wipe. Now we're getting into the mid game where you're level 6 and you've got your dash 4. And then like mid game is, I would say, like 6 to 7 to like 9 and like day 2. And then as soon as you get level 10, once you have level 2 ult, now you're in late game. You're playing very differently. This is a little aggressive, what I'm doing here, but I have... oh, Frog Jump, my beloved, how I miss you. I get fucked up by myth here. But this person is low, and I'm just really kind of looking to greed on the thing. But as soon as I miss stuff and I'm taking a lot of damage, I'm going to Frog Jump over, and I'm just going to look again. Where do they want to go? Where can they go? They're probably going to keep going down here, because that's, you know, directly the direction that we're going to chase them. Where my teammates go, my teammates are going to probably come from the underside. So I want to kind of come from the overside to cut off their potential options. So as I slide down here and I'm not hittable, I'm going to go ahead and pop a Vive. Oh man, old Vive. And then again, I've got 2 potential threats here, and I can hit both of them if I curve my R&B. So I'm going to throw my R&B, and then because they kind of keep moving right a little bit, I just do it to the left just a tiny little bit to prevent them from going backwards, and it works.
Yeah.
And I grab both of them, and again, as soon as I see that that's going to go, I'm tossing my Q out in between both of them. So I hit both of them. And then this was another situation I was talking about where, like, if you're going to get a kill, be ready to just double tap R. Because in the middle of me shift autoing there, I double tap R so that I'm already casting it by the time that the myth is dashing away. And, like, that is how you're looking to convert your fights on Crysta, is play them slow as level 6 and slow and slow. And then as soon as you get the knock that hits level 7, you're now fast as fuck. Because a level 7 Crysta versus non-level 7 hunters is a very big power gap. You know, same sort of deal here, right? We're looking for a singular pick into me hitting 7 and winning the fight. And so this is, you know, we've got a little bit of advantage that Hudson's level 4. He gets chunked to start out the fight really well. But my good friend Wubby teleports over into their full team, which consists of a myth and a Shiv, and explodes. So now the fight's looking a little cooked as fuck. I now need to play much more slowly because we're down 1. So again, I'm gonna toss stuff out when I get a passive proc, shift dash backwards, because this Hudson is about to fuck me up as he's slowly making his way to like play the angle, right? And then I throw the Q, and now she's low, right? And then again, I'm just playing distance until my spells come back up. My R&B is back up, so I'm gonna walk up into R&B range, right? Shift backwards, get the auto reset. You know, every time you're getting that R&B back, you can be shift autoing either forwards or backwards, and you're going to be proccing it every time. And then right here again, they're clumping up. So I see the clump up, and it makes less sense for them to go back because it puts them in the abyss, which is awkward, you know. And so this goal right here is I'm going to split them up, right? One's going to go right, one's going to go left, and then the other one will hopefully be put into a situation where she's in a bad position. And luckily, she like jukes, and I end up killing her with it too. So as soon as I get that reset, I know that the Hudson is low as fuck, and that the Myth does not have the damage to kill me. She maybe has the damage to kill my Brall, but before my Brall can, I see my Brall going on, and I'm like, okay, all right, here we go. And so again, I'm going to dash here. If my Brall dies to the Myth, it's like, what the fuck ever. I do not damage the Myth here. My worry is the Hudson. So I'm gonna go again and again. What direction are they gonna go if they leave? Right? They're not gonna go down, because that puts them like kind of badly. They're gonna go to where it feels the safest, which is to the right. So I'm gonna curve to the right and then dash in, reset, and then immediately level ult and dash in again. And they're just dead. When we're getting close to level 7 and fighting people who will give us level 7, looking for that slower play into the reset. Again, am I ever going to try and fight the Brall and Shiv here? No. It's bad news bears. Is my Shrike fucked? Yes. Is anything I'm going to do stop my Shrike from being fucked? No. So what I can do is, at the very least, like if we really are going for this fight, is I can dash into the low health ghost. I try and flick it here, but I do it a little bit too late. But fortunately, in him dodging me, he's forced into the Shrike stun, and so it helps me get him anyway. So the same sort of deal, right? Where can this ghost go, right? If he's going in, he can either go to the right, which puts him out of the fight and away from his teammates here, right? If he dodges to the right, it puts him toward my void and away from his teammates so that we can kill him. And if he dodges to the left, it puts him towards his teammates, but this time, fortunately, into the Shrike thing. So again, I know that an auto is not going to kill there because she has the worst fucking auto in the universe. You know, he's this. Any other hunter, this auto kills easily. But I know I have to auto shift auto there to get it. And then I am going to take the time to mid-combat level my shift to 4. I level up twice there. It is going to fuck me here if I don't level my shift before I use it, because I'm about to lose 6 seconds on it and also get a ton back. And then teammate gets the thing, I get the passive proc. I know at this point, it's a level 6 Brall. He does not have the ability to kill me and reset, so I'm just going to walk into his face so that I can't miss. And then, honestly, and then I didn't want to shift forward here just in case of the Shiv, so I shift back to confirm the auto to kill him. And then the Shiv dashing in here is troll as fuck. But same sort of deal. I try and dash in here to stop the res. It doesn't quite work, but you know, we're just going to play it as if I normally play it. Again, put it down on my feet, hit her, auto, get her, and then I get the ult, and then boom. Whoops. Oh, right. Beautiful.
Nice stun.
Early game is, we've got these long cooldowns, we've got this long dash. We need to play it very slowly and look for the enemies that are weak and look away from the enemies that are strong, and seeing where we can manipulate them and get it to a point where we are not having to face the enemies that are spiked and knocking the enemies that might be stronger but weak because they're low health, or just weaker early. And then if we kill them when we get the resets, that gives us the power to fight the hunters who are maybe a little bit stronger. Mid game, once we're like level 9 and like we've got our ult, we can not necessarily maybe look to dive in immediately on everybody, but we can look to hit the Q, hit the R&B Q, and then go in full send. Once you get to late game, that's where we get to the point where I was talking about, where like if somebody ever has a passive proc on them, we just full send. And so in a situation, we are considerably weaker than them. It's level 13. 3-star Rampager, 3-star Songbow. I've got a level 9 with broken white armors, you know. But he just dashed in and right into the max range of my R&B. So I'm going to do the classic Q, right? And then I'm not sending R quite immediately yet, which they have a void, but if they have something that stuns me, we just lose the game. So I'm going to play slightly more patient here and wait until I have a little bit more of a confirmation and like proc my passives a little bit more, and then I'm going to ult dash in once I see his teammates are still a little bit further away, and we just get very lucky that she steps in here and he dashes back into the Fairy Charm.
Yep.
Another thing for Celeste, while she's in her ult, your abilities that hit her also proc Chrono. I mistimed the Q here. I need to redetonate it there. All right, now 3v2, but my ghost is completely useless, so it's really more of a 2v2. And so I know he's here, right? And he's not a hunter that can dodge easily. So I'm just gonna throw around and then ult, right? I'm pressing that ult before I even see him. Yeah. You know, he cut like the frame he comes onto my screen, my ult is going out. And then again, if I like the way that I dash here, I dash down, the R&B pull was still going to pull back to me, but this way it's going to pull him down and allow me to like again, cut off this Celeste. So I could just stay here and ult and kill him and then like run and get the Celeste. But this way, right now, where's the Celeste going to go? She can't go anywhere. So even though I'm not fighting her yet, I'm positioning myself so that after I kill the Void, there's nothing that she can do.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I was still up here, then she can like shift down this way, and she honestly, she probably gets out. And then again, I'm keeping her at max range. You know, if I dash in at her and she dashes past me, she's gone. So I just keep her at max range, I get her grounded, and now that she's 1 HP and I have my ult back, now I can dash into her and just kill her. And then this is like a truly, truly late game kind of sort of deal. They've got very strong max armor. We've got no armor, but you know, it's not like we're super duper weak. It's final showdown. If we look at the minimap, we know I'm not going to get hit from here. My only worry is getting hit from here, and this is a situation where we're not melee Crysta, right? I've got no armor. It's very easily for like if I were to dash in here, they could very easily kill me. So I am just supporting my teammates. I'm going to throw the QR on top of them and just get as much damage going as possible. Right? I dash in, get the knock, dash out. And it's if I had stayed in there, like things might go poorly because I'm on top of a Felix. They've got the Elluna. I explode the Q kind of late. It kind of did a weird thing where it went on top there. But I'm aiming at the squishiest target that I can reasonably hit. I'm not going to kill the Elluna. The Elluna is too mobile for me to kill. I'm not going to kill the Felix. The Felix has too much HP for me to kill. So I'm going to focus, you know, I'm trying to AoE them. You know, with your R, where you're putting the R, if you'll see, I put it at first a little bit in front of them so that it spreads more. And then as I get my target, I focus it on the ghost and put it just behind him so that it is less likely to hit people other than the ghost. And then again, dash back.
Yep.
Throw the R&B. Where is she going to go? She's going to go down. So I'm going to throw the R&B and I'm going to curve it down. It doesn't land, but it's still, you know, the idea of it. Now I'm fighting the Felix, and it's going to be a 1v1 of me and the Felix. He's going to dash. I'm going to miss all of my passive procs, but like that's okay. I'm also like right now I'm focused on Wazdying to make sure I dodge the Felix R&B, because like if I get hit by the Felix R&B is the only way that I lose. I don't necessarily win if I land on my spells, but I do necessarily lose if I get chained by the Felix R&B and ignite and he becomes unkillable. One thing to note about Crysta's dash is it cancels all momentum. If you start to get hit by a ghost nade, like that's going to smack you into a wall, if you dash against the ghost nade, you'll cancel it out. If you get pulled, if you're getting pulled by a Felix pull and you dash, it cancels it out. And so like she's got one of the strongest dashes in the game for that reason, is going to absolutely cancel out any momentum and give you the full length of dash no matter what. And then again, just toss ult there. And then I am not going to root my Felix. I'm going to dash away from my Felix so that he doesn't get rooted, and then throw my R&B on top of him because she's obviously trying to get the kill on him, get the finish on him. And so I'm not throwing my abilities at her. I'm throwing my abilities on top of my teammates. And they're hitting her because it's kind of sort of obvious what she wants to do. And if she doesn't do that, then she's not getting any value. Let us talk about matchups. So we're just going to start from the top of the roster. Beebo.
And I guess is there early game, mid game considerations?
Yes, absolutely.
Early game, late game.
I mean, generally, any of the earlier game hunters are going to be harder to deal with for you early game. Any of the later game hunters are not necessarily as big of a problem for you because you also have late game strength.
Right.
Beebo is the exception to this rule. Beebo is one of the biggest Crysta counters in the game. He has so much CC. He can ground you. He can stun you with his super Zeep. He could stun you against a wall. He could stun you with from a range with his car. And also, you know, he's got healing. He's got mobility. He's got everything that you could possibly want, right? And he can just a Crysta that wants to get on top of the Beebo so that she can actually land the things. Never, because he just bats you away. So Beebo is really hard to deal with. The only time you're gonna beat a Beebo is if you R&B him out of his car. Like, that's the only time you straight up beat a Beebo. Otherwise, he gets to choose the terms of your engagement. Fortunately, you do outrange him. You can, you know, play to fight him at a range, but, you know, a lot of Beebos are going dash 4, and it's really not hard for a good Beebo at range to just dodge your stuff. You know, if you throw a full combo, I'm just going to go like that, and you miss everything. If you throw a full combo at me, I just dash, and then I boop, and then you're dead. You know, Beebo, very, very, very frustrating. One of Crysta's hardest counters in the game is ranged CC and grounds. That's really the only time you're going to get fucked is if you aren't able to move and dash and keep proccing your passives. And Beebo has 3 different stuns and a ground in his kit. All right, next on to Bishop. Woohoo, Bishop. Generally, you should win against Bishop. She beats you in just like a straight auto fight, but you are too hard outranged by Crysta as Bishop to realistically win the fight, and she has a way too easy time dodging your punch and stuff, you know. But she still is definitely a threat to look out for because of, like, if you're fighting like right here and then she comes from behind you, you just get one shot and die. Just make sure you're not getting flanked by the Bishop, and that the Bishop is one of the few hunters where you really don't want to play melee range into until she is like below 66% health and has a passive proc on her, and you can dash in, bait the punch, and dash back out. Generally, you should have the advantage in terms of engagement. She's really good at grounding Bishop off of her, like, teammates for peel. Like, the way that Bishop's dash works, especially backwards, is kind of slow and floaty, which is really good for Crysta ground. So Bishop generally has a pretty hard time into Crysta. So you don't have to necessarily worry. Just don't let her get up close to you, flank on you, hit you with ult. If you get hit by Bishop ult, you get one shot. But it's easy enough to not get hit by it that it's a good enough matchup. The way that the Brall matchup works is a little bit similar to Bishop in that if he gets on top of you from a flank, you're just cooked. But you have a couple of things you can do. This generally works for all hunters, but especially ranged hunters into Brawl. If he lands his tether on you, or if he lands his tether on, you know, let's say the wall beside you, when he takes his tether in, instead of running away, dash through him. It's a really good Brawl. You will have to expend something to cancel out the momentum, right? And so really good Brawls will deal with it the best by canceling out their E, and then you'll still be out of their range, but you'll be close enough that he can like dash RMB you, and bad Brawls will just fly like way past you. Your Q doesn't get deleted by Brawl, but your RMB and your ult, if you're facing them, the projectile gets completely shredded. So one of the things you want to make sure that the Brawl doesn't ult your RMB, because the projectile just gets destroyed. But your ultimate lasts longer, so generally I save my ultimate until Brawl uses ultimate, and then I just kind of pop it in the middle of his ult, so that like as the windup is going, you still hit me with stuff like that. But if he's able to ult your RMB Q combo, you lose. So you want to make sure that he does not ult your RMB Q combo. You got to make sure if you throw the Q at your feet, you're waiting for the ult to be over before you proc it, and then you can hit him with your R.
I see.
But if he gets on, if he gets on top of you, and has dashes, he's just gonna dodge everything. So you before you throw everything, you want to limit the amount of dashes that he has, and force him to use them to get on top of you so that he can't dodge. And then now I've got no dashes, I've got no cooldowns. Now you're in the winning position. But it's very hard against good Brawls. Brawl is probably the dunker that, besides KP, is the dunker that you're the best at in the Abyss against. Jin, Wukong, Tetra all will eat you alive in the Abyss, but you can kind of play well enough against Brawl in the Abyss if you know what you're doing to avoid his dunk. Carbine. I think Carbine's just kind of fucking dog water in general in 1.0, so you don't really have to worry about him too much, but in beta he was one of the hardest matchups, especially early, because he just left clicks you to death. I'm terrible at Carbine, but he sucks now, so you don't necessarily have to worry about it. But still, early, you do not want to get in an auto fight against him, right? Because his autos do basically double the damage of yours for 3 autos, and he shoots them more than twice as fast as you do. Generally, as soon as you have ult, you can just get in his face, and as long as you don't get stunned into a wall, you one-shot him. All right, so right there, even though that would have slammed you against the wall, if you dash, you can just completely counteract the momentum. And so as long as you dodge getting RMB'd against a wall and it canceling your ult, that's really the only way you'll ever lose the matchup, is if you ult and he RMBs you against a wall and cancels it. In the neutral, Carbine will win. You just have the ability to one-shot him, and he's thankfully a lot worse than he used to be. So that's nice. Celeste is a pretty good matchup for Crysta. The nice thing about Celeste is, here, use your ult. Just don't dump it into that. As long as you don't dump it into that, you're fine. Honestly, the biggest cuck for Crysta for Celeste is her wall. Your RMB is completely deleted by wall, so even if if like, for example, I've got a wall, right, that, like, even if there's a teammate right there, her RMB just is eaten entirely by Celeste wall. So don't ever try and bounce Crysta RMB off of Celeste wall, but as long as you bait out the wall and then use your cooldowns, you're fine. Your Q, if you throw it right as she's throwing the wall, it'll get blocked by the wall, like the center of it will, but the pulse will still hit. When she's ulting, you just throw a Q down, and then you throw an RMB like right then. Like, you want to throw an RMB so that it's going through her and like on its way back the entire time that she can recast her ult, which is now I can recast the ult. If you throw it out the other way, then like no matter what. All right, and now I'm grounded, and then you can just pop ult. Also, I think I mentioned this, but for purposes of Chrono and Diadem, hitting an invulnerable Celeste refunds your cooldowns. Just be careful of her RMBs. That's the only time you'll ever lose to her in a damage fight, is if you are like not careful against her RMBs, and she hits you with Shatter or whatever and like explodes you. Crysta Mirror. This was my favorite mirror matchup in the game, by far. I mean, whoever has the better ult wins. Is the really the real matter of it. You know, if you can bait the other Crysta to use their ult first and waste it, that's how you're going to win the Crysta matchup like 10 out of 10 times. And then if not, it's whoever has better autos and like can weave the passive better. But, you know, it's same sort of deal where you just want to kind of hit her around corners, and then as soon as you've got a passive proc on her and she is at least one dash down, preferably like a dash and a half down, just full send on her with your ult. Yep. If you ult and don't put her in a completely fucked position and she has ult, you do not continue to fight. You just lose, especially over the Abyss. Weirdly enough, pretty hard matchup for Crysta. Her long dash is really long. You will never catch her if she's long dashing well. And then her short dash is on a decently low cooldown for dodging your shit. And then she also just beats you in a 1v1 if she can land her autos, because they just start really chunking. You know, Crysta in general is countered by healing, and if you get hit by the root, you just die.
This is going to sound really dumb. What is Elluna's passive auto ramping? Is that what you said it was?
Yes. It works in two kind of different ways. If you don't shoot for a while, your first auto after not shooting for a while is empowered.
Okay.
And does more damage. And then the more times in a short span that Elluna hits her LMB on you, can you see how it's doing more and more damage?
Yep.
It really starts ramping. So in a pure 1v1, like a good Elluna, especially like one that lands her abilities, will fuck you up unless it's really late game. And then also it does more on distance. Just don't get hit by Elluna RMB. You just lose if you get hit by Elluna RMB. The nice thing about facing Elluna is you don't have to fight the Elluna. You can fight her teammates and then throw a Q on top of their Wisp and like just be ready to throw your RMB on it. But just keep your distance, because Elluna's autos do more damage the closer she is to you and the more that she's hit you. So if she like dashes in and lands RMB and gets on top of you, you get kind of cooked, and you just often will not have the damage to kill her. So just make sure you keep kiting her and save a dash for the RMB. Eva, my fucking hated. Before 1.0, Eva was the hardest Crysta counter in the game. You still just can't kill her orbs ever. I once had a legit nightmare about trying to hit an Eva orb as Crysta, and she just kept moving it out of the way. If the team is in the orb and she's in the orb and you don't have anybody else on your team and you don't have anti-heal, you just never, ever, ever kill the Eva ever. It's not possible. It used to be way worse. It's at least, especially now, like late previously you had enough damage. But yeah, it's just, there's nothing you can ever do. So again, you focus the teammates, you try and split them off, you ask your teammates to hit the orbs, but there is nothing a Crysta will ever be able to do, like, unless you've got brilliance, you've got everything you could possibly want, and she doesn't have armor and shit like that. Like, I'm a no armor Eva, and I'm just holding down a left click and kind of walking around. You know?
Yeah.
So, beware of Eva. Thankfully, she's so dog shit now that nobody runs her, and also thankfully, even when in the beta, when she was a lot stronger pre-nerf, almost every Eva player in the world is just not good. They just like walk out of the orb, or their teammates walk out of the orb. But at least now, what she used to be able to do is at any point in the game, she could just jump on you with her orb and do this, and you got one shot. And it was really cool. So she's less able to do that now, so it can be more of a stalemate rather than just you know, she hard fucks you. But especially early, you are never killing an Eva team if they know what they're doing. Okay. It's just never ever happening. So, you know, make sure your team has anti-heal. Just be looking for the opportunities where you're not wasting your spells doing nothing, because an Eva who's managing her orbs is unkillable. Because no matter what you do, you will never ever have the damage to kill this orb. It's not possible. You can full channel an ult on one with your whole combo, and as long as I'm left clicking it, look, I can keep 2 up at the same time. Fun, isn't it?
Yes,
Felix,
so.
woohoo! He doesn't counter you, and you're not really countered by him. It's again one of the matchups where it's more about what's going on in the two teams. If a Felix is in the middle of your team and is fucking it up and heat shielding and shit like that, you're not gonna kill him. Similar to Eva. So your kind of goal is to either get him to overextend and not be, you know, hitting multiple people at once and healing, and making sure you dodge that R&B. It's kind of like Elluna. You get hit by the R&B, bad things happen. As long as you know how to dash out of the heat shield, that is what will make the matchup a lot more playable. If you're not able to dash out of the heat shield, then he can just get on you and stay on you. You know. So I landed the R&B there. You're never gonna kill me. My ignite is too much. It's bad. So Felix, another hunter, you're keeping your distance from. You're poking out and you're trying to kill his team first and protect your team from being dived by him. But the Felix really is fucking up if he's dying to you, just like in a vacuum. Ghost, hooray! Ghost matchup. For the whole game, Ghost has always just been a little bit better than Crysta, especially like somebody of equal skill level. I think Ghost just wins because again, Ghost lands the R&B, you just are fucked. The nice thing is like a lot of Ghosts will actually go for that R&B instead of the sticking it on you, and you can at least cancel the dash knockback from that one. But if he's got like if he shift R&Bs you and then just does this, there's nothing you can ever do. So your goal is to bait him into missing R&B, and then you full send on him melee with your ult and try and one-shot him. And if you succeed, you succeed, and if you fail, you fail. But Ghost is a little bit easier and just a little bit better in a lot of situations than Crysta, especially early. But late game, once you have items and you're level 13 plus, you do definitely have the advantage because you're able to again, you can see how low I was and how high you were, and then I landed the R&B, and now you cannot kill me, and I one-shot you.
Yeah, that's
so
that's crazy.
Crysta, her hardest counter in the game is healing, and so you have to make sure, like, whatever. Usually, almost always, the hunters who aren't supports have a gimmick to their healing, right? Ghost has to land R&B, right? Like Felix has to be hitting big heat shields and doing a lot of damage. Brall, needs to land his R. And that's why the ones that kind of have unconditional resources ceiling, like Eva, that's why Eva is the hardest counter. It's because her healing is unconditional and resourceless, basically. If she has the R&B out, she can keep it alive forever, and it will always heal, and it doesn't cost her anything and doesn't use any cooldowns. Sure. But you can burn through a Zeph's ult and his healing. You can burn through an Elluna's healing. And so you're having to really kind of slow down when you're fighting high healing hunters and make sure that the ones that have it conditionally, we are making it so that they don't have the condition where they have it before we're looking for the element. Hudson, hooray. Generally, Hudson, throughout the course of the game, has always been a pretty good matchup for Crysta because you just don't have to engage with straight line gameplay. If you engage with straight line gameplay against Hudson, you die. But as long as you keep around corners and you land just a little bit of poke and just a little bit of poke, and then you can dash around my wire and go for the all-in with ult to kill me before I can turn around properly, like that's how you're fighting a Hudson. But in any situation where you're dealing with Hudson in straight line gameplay, like you lose to him in straight line gameplay. But if you're able to play on the pillar and do stuff like that, that's where you've got the advantage. And there's so much of that kind of terrain around that it's very hard for you to be in a situation where you can't exploit that against Hudson. Don't get hit by the R. As long as you don't get hit by the R, you win. Jin is a pretty good matchup for Crysta. Her ground really fucks him, and he should have a hard time getting on top of it if he doesn't land dagger. If he lands dagger, though, and it's a good Jin, he will one-shot you, so just be careful. Crysta is just a dash check hunter, right? If you can dash their abilities and they can't dash yours, you win. But Jin has a really hard time approaching you. I'm a terrible fucking Jin, so I'm going to have an even harder time approaching you. But sorry, yeah, he just is not that good indeed. You one shot him less now that he's been nerfed, but it's still, as long as you're not into like RTK who could do that to you, which he probably would have done a stab in with it too, that would have killed you. You don't have anything to worry about. If you're against RTK or Illusion or whatever, and they do that against you, then like tough luck, dodge the R&B. But I'm not going to be able to demonstrate that because I'm dog shit Jin.
If it's kind of the same thing, I think most melees dunkers obviously over the Abyss
the trade-off is that you can never ever catch him in any universe ever. Joule is another skill matchup. It's a little bit Crysta favored, I would say, because you have a ground that's more effective against her than hers is against you, because she can't use her dash to dodge your ground as easily as you can use your dash to dodge hers. Again, dodge the RMB. A lot of Crysta matchups really just come down to dodge the RMB. If you get hit by the RMB and then she double dashes you, she's going to one-shot you. When 1.0 first came out, you know, she just completely shat all over Joule. But now that Joule actually does damage again and is a little bit more playable, then, you know, all you have to really worry about is good Joules dashing onto your head when you've got like 2 stacks and then hitting you with RMB against a wall.
Okay.
Like that. You know, that's the only time you're ever gonna die to Joule is if you get hit by the RMB. But you should be able to be playing angles and, like, you know, any time a Joule has the position where she can like dash into you and then throw an RMB back, a lot of the times you should be able to throw an RMB against a wall near her and ground her so that when she hits the RMB and she tries to dash, she's just and then that puts my dash on cooldown. So I'm cooked. And then, you know, just be aware she's going to use her ult to dodge something of yours if she's good. It depends on the timing, but throw out your Q and then detonate it immediately. So it still hits me. So if you can get your Q off fast enough, you could still hit her in the air. It's very cool. Joule players aren't in hell. But I never have a problem with Joule for the most part because I have played with and against Afro so much that it just is second nature to me to fight the best Joule in the world. And so I don't struggle. If she gets 4 stacks and hits you, if she RMBs you. But that's kind of Joule's matchup delta with most squishy players. Kingpin is a very sharp matchup for Crysta. As you can probably gather, what's the one rule? Don't get hit by hook.
For a hook. Yeah.
Don't get hit by hook. As long as you don't get hit by hook, Kingpin can never do anything against you. He is just a sack of meat for you to reset your passive and ult off of. If you get hit by hook, you lose the game. Right? And like, if any team follow up, you're just absolutely dead. I didn't have items, anything like that. But you've got your dash. So the biggest thing to watch out for, like the way that I lose most, like a lot of my games, especially against Kingpin, is just through the wall like that. So you just need to be ready and aware that is something that can happen and be ready to dash it. Because if you get hit by the hook, you die 98 times out of 100. The only times you don't die is like you either get really lucky or they're dog shit. But if he's not like in a long range neutral with you where it makes sense for him to use hook or through a wall, you literally can just dash RMB in his face, auto him, and dash out. Because if he tries to stun you, exactly. Yeah. He's never hitting you with slam unless he's landing hook first, if you're good. The only bad thing about Kingpin is, weirdly enough, you cannot catch him. It feels like he's slow enough that you'll be able to catch him, but he just runs away from you forever. The only hunter in the game that you really can catch, if they are playing it super well, is Eva. And then kind of Shrike. But she really does have like the worst chase in the game, besides maybe Void. Void probably has worse chase, but Void can get away from her because he can just teleport on top of buildings and go over. Mercury is gonna be a bad matchup for Crysta. Mercury is gonna be a really, really bad matchup for Crysta because my auto is 1,000,000 times better than yours. And go ahead and hit me with a full combo real quick. Yeah, nice try, bro. That's cool. That's cool. No, reset and use your ult again, I think. Oh no, did you want to damage me? I'm sorry, did you want to do damage to me, Crysta? Did you know my auto does double your damage and then also is on the floor? Oh wow, look. Oh, and I'm back to full HP. Enjoy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and I don't even have Q-Max here, by the way. It's more damage than you'll ever in 1,000,000 years be able to get through.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, she is again, there are very few hunters that can catch you though if they're chasing you. Really, the only hunter that can consistently catch you is the Sky Shark, the worst hunter in the game that we all hate. A Brall or a Wukong who's playing it really well can usually catch you, but if you're like properly resetting your passive, it's very hard to catch a Crysta. But yeah, Mercury sucks. I have not actually had to play against Mercury as Crysta very much. I don't know what to do against Mercury yet, TBD. I think it's just going to be another thing of hope your team has anti-heal or wait for them to make a mistake and try and one-shot one of the teammates, you know? You just wait until the Q is off, which kind of sucks because, again, I don't have Chrono, I don't have Isochron's. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and my Q is back off cooldown. That's with no CDR items. If I have Chrono Gauge, if I'm running Time Staff, you're never killing a Mercury ever. So I don't know what to do. She will certainly get nerfed, hopefully, in the next few patches, at least her healing uptime. So that's what you do is you wait for nerfs, and then you just hope that in the they're trolling and they're not running QMax Mercury, that they're not very good at landing their autos, and I don't know, but what do you ever do? Oh, look, I'm full health. Myth is a little bit of a sharp matchup. She outranges you very hard, especially when she's got Long Claw. And if she lands her autos against you, you will lose. Your big advantage is that when Myth is ghost walking, throw your R&B at me. While I'm in phase walk, your R&B immediately grounds if you landed at all. I think it's because she's like coded as a wall or something weird like that. Just wait for her to shift before you throw your R&B. Because if she dodges the shift with your R&B, then you're fucked. But if you wait for her to shift before throwing it, or exactly like that, I'm immediately cooked. You can one-shot her. If the Myth can properly space you and is able to land her LMBs, she will beat you. She's better at zoning than you are. Thankfully, she's a lot worse in 1.0 comparatively, and so you don't see her nearly as much. She, for a long time, provided significantly more value than Crysta for a lot less effort. And now Crysta, with higher effort, can get more value, which makes her good, but you definitely still have to be careful because I don't have Long Claw, I don't have Rage Steel, I don't have the nasty things that make Myth really especially nasty. But you'll also have all your CDR things that allow you to just spam spells like crazy. So it's trade-offs. Just WASD, dodge her arrows. Don't get your ult canceled by her R&B. If you do those two things, you'll win every Myth matchup. Okay, Oath, woohoo! Also, thank God Oath is played way less because Yeah. Nope, still up. And I did not parry any of that.
Yeah.
So it takes 2 full combos plus an ult to break me holding my shield when I have 0 health at all. If the Oath is good, and I'm terrible at Oath, but if he's good, he'll just walk up on you and he'll put you into the locker, basically, and you can't do anything. Woo! And you just there's nothing that ever happens. And it's very fun. It's better than it used to be. But he can
passive procs.
Nope. And he can auto you while he's doing this. And then oh no. Okay, I've now healed. The worst Oath in the world can beat the best Crysta in the world if they play it right. Especially in a 1v1. So with Oath, you just have to rely on your teammates to break your shield, look to kill his teammates, same sort of deal. But Oath and Diva are probably the 2 hardest hunters for Crysta to deal with, especially if they know what they're doing, because you just will never ever do anything into them ever. Crysta has an incredibly sharp matchup breakdown.
Can't even dash through it, huh?
Nope. You're just completely blocked. And then again, your autos are so fucking chungus awful that you can't consistently break his shield. Even if he just sits in front with a full shield, you know. See how many autos it takes to break.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 with no parry.
Hooray. Crysta eats Saros alive pretty well. Saros has only one advantage, and that's in the long range. But you just don't ever let him get in the long range, and you kill his ass. You just dash in on him. Don't get hit by his orb. And then also, if he hits you with the, if he gets energized on you, he does beat you short range with the autos. So, if he goes through a portal, be careful. If he hits you with his left shift, he will one-shot you. But, so he's one of the hunters where you don't necessarily want to go melee assassin on. You want to kind of find that close to mid-range where he can't use his R&B on you, but also he can't, easily shift in and do that. But yeah, just don't let him get energized. And if he goes through his portal, shoot your shit through the portal and don't go through it unless you know he has no shift. But he will fuck you up just landing R&Bs. Because he does outrange you pretty considerably. But you one-shot him so easily if you land a full combo on him that it doesn't really matter. Shiv used to be one of my favorite 1v1s in the game. In the beta, because it's a skill matchup that it's kind of like Joule versus Crysta, except slightly on the side of the Crysta, it's slightly on the side of the Shiv. Where if she just has a slightly higher damage and slightly more mobile and shit like that. But if she ever fucks up, you can one-shot her. Of course, new Shiv is I mean, they have nerfed her, thankfully, but it still is now more in the side of Shiv, because a good Shiv is just going to use her shift to dodge your shit. And whether or not she hits the passive shot after, like, matters less than it used to.
Right. Okay.
Again, she can always just press the "you die now" button, which sucks. And she has a ground that's easier to land than your ground. So she just has the slightly easier time of the fight. Thankfully, now that they've nerfed her range and her projectile speed, she's back to being like an actually skilled hunter. And so the fight, it's a lot more playable. So just be careful. You just got to focus on dodging the shift autos, making sure that you're not throwing your shit out willy-nilly when she still has your shift. Because if you throw out your whole combo and she just dashes past you and hits you, you just immediately lose. And if you both throw out everything and miss, she can press my "I kill you now" button and kill you now. She doesn't have to aim it. You have to aim your "I kill you now" button. She doesn't have to aim her "I kill you now" button.
Fair. Yep.
But a really close, tight Shiv 1v1 is my favorite besides the Crysta Mirror. And then also, one of the things you know, if she throws a dagger out, wait a sec, now throw exactly. And then now you just exactly. So like if she ever does, that's how the Shiv loses the matchup. Perfect. Okay.
Understood.
Woohoo! Okay. Shrike, one of the most one-sided matchups in the game, like of any two hunters, I think. Early game, you know, she obviously shits on you unless you really fuck up. Like the only time I ever die to a Shrike is when I'm not paying attention, or it's like crazy long claw range and I just am not even thinking about dodging, because you just get into her face. She does less damage the closer that you are to her. Her rifle does 50% less damage, and so if you get in her face, you can't miss. And she still has a hard time hitting, and even if she hits it, she's not going to do any damage. All you have to do is dodge the R&B, like when you shoot. You're like dashing like that. And instead of doing that, shoot again. Diagonally towards her.
Isn't that closer for a flick, though? Like,
well, it doesn't matter, because if she flicks to you,
like
even if she flicks to you, you're closer to her, so she's not doing very much damage, and now you're on top of her head. And you've thrown, right, because like if I do this and I throw the R&B and you dash away from me, a lot of the time the R&B is going to hit and going to pull you back into me, right? Because her dash is a linear backwards line, which is really good, right? Like Shrike players like that would have dashed up like that as soon as I threw out the R&B, and she's going to get caught by the R&B. Okay. And it's just really, as soon as Crysta gets ult, a good Shrike should literally be able to do nothing against a Crysta 1v1 ever. Like ever. Void really struggles into Crysta.
Even slower autos.
Yeah, even slower autos. And a similar sort of thing to Shrike, where you just get in the Void's face and he can't do anything. Because if I throw my stun, that's the only time you lose, again, is if you get hit by the R&B. But if you just dodge diagonally, like forward, left or right, 9 times out of 10 you're going to dodge the thing. You're going to dodge the stun. That was just straight at me instead of left or right. The only time you lose is if you get hit by the stun. And then also a thing to know is if you throw out your R&B, even, you see how it canceled right then? I have to be grounded when the shift goes off, which I'm sure you know. So you can actually ground me while I'm starting to cast the shift. Like do that. And I start to cast the shift. And I mistimed it. But at the very end, if I had done that just slightly later, I still would have teleported. And so it can be really frustrating, because a lot of times you can land the ground on the Void and it just ends. And he teleports away anyway, and it's very sad. But if he ults on top of himself, you just dash back. And if he stuns, you just dash away. And other than that, you like once he doesn't have his stun, he just is fucking meat, because he's got no dash. And wherever he teleports to, you just throw a Q. So as long as you don't get hit by like a max range stun into ult, you'll never lose into Void. And it's you have enough dashes that you should just either always be able to react to it predictively or reactively even. If it's like a longer range stun, you can do reactive, and if it's a close range stun, like if you're dashing into his face, you should be knowing, it's kind of like KP or Bishop or whatever, you should be knowing that he's about to throw his stun into your face and predictively dodging out of the way. Tetra, woohoo, Tetra fucks Crysta up. Your one advantage is that her wall does not block your ult. If it pierces, but that's it. That's the only thing. If a Tetra ever gets on top of you or like lands R&B, you just get one shot. And she has way more health than you, and she can always literally just see you later, nerd. And there's nothing you can ever do. So, and I can't even pod race on her or anything. Like the Tetras who know how to do the tech, it's literally, it's a really bad matchup for Crysta. And then her dunk is just, it comes out so fast and can come out from so far away when you are doing the tech that it is extremely fucked up. And then just like, if she hits you with these, you just explode. And she shreds your armor so hard. It's just not, it's not okay. Again, also another character that can just stun you into a wall. Any character that can put Crysta into the locker, she has a really hard time with. Save your dash for her R&B. And then just don't. She's not one of the characters that you can very easily melee commit into. If she's low HP and you're at full HP, you still just can't like double dash into her. She will just kill you. Wukong, another character that all of the new characters are really good against Crysta, sadly. Like all of them, because he just, this is with a nerfed shield. He can still tank so much of your fucking combo. You just got to be careful, because if they all do this on top of you, or if they all hit the R&B on top of you, you get fucking one shot. So just be careful, and then just don't chase the Wukong. Just never ever. It's never ever worth to chase the Wukong. No matter how low he is, no matter how many spells he's just used, he will just do this and tank everything, and then turn around and one shot you. Again, healers in general kind of counter you. Zeph is going to beat you in an LMB battle. Like in a straight 1v1, you should never be beating a Zeph. Because he can just short dash, and you're never landing anything. And your cooldowns aren't up enough. If he knows how to LMB, his LMB just does way more damage. And it doesn't matter how much damage you do to me, because I just heal it. And then, oh, I'm back to full HP. Oh, and again, I do not ever play Zeph, and there's just no way you're ever going to beat me here.
It just takes too long, unless you burst him.
Yep, and it's going to be really hard to burst a Zeph who knows what he's doing, and again, he's just going to short dash, and it's on a 3-second cooldown, and there's nothing you can do. Same deal with Zeph. Wait for your teammates to burn his cooldowns, or for him to burn his cooldowns on his teammates, and then you look to one-shot him. Your best time to punish the Zeph is after he long dashes. If you can hit him with the R&B after he long dashes, sometimes you can defeat him. Sometimes. But if he just plays the War of Attrition, he always wins.
Yeah, he'll heal.
If you're ever committing on something, have half a dash. Because if you get one passive proc, you have a dash again. You know? So like
in a similar way, like with Shiv, you gotta hit that empowered auto, right?
Exactly.
Save the dash and hit the empowered auto.
And hit the empowered auto. You know, it's if you're looking for the full send on like a very healthy team, just especially for like a lot of what you'll see me do late game is if they get in range for it, I will dash in, RMBQ, ult, dash out. And like that, you want to have a dash and a half for those, because you dash in and then your half dash turns into a full dash and you dash out. Specifically in like a 1v1, like never be aggressing with less than half a dash if you can avoid it. Now let's talk about build. So generally, a couple schools of thought. Always chrono gauge. Every single game. There is never a single universe in which you don't want to go chrono gauge. Your other grips are more up for debate. I tend to run Burning Palm almost every game. The disadvantage of Burning Palm is that it does not stack multiple instances of Burning Palm. So if you have two other teammates on your team who are running Burning Palm, I will very frequently switch to Frozen Palm. I don't really think there's very many situations in which you would want to run anything other than either Chrono Frozen or Chrono Burning. The only time I do something different is if I have Soul Stealer. If I have Soul Stealer, I'll grab Chrono, and then I'll grab a second Haste Glove. Because I'm missing out on the haste, and so I don't need to worry about the damage from burning. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of extra haste so that I've got more spells. And then we always replace the Soul Stealer over the Songbow or the Isochron's, and we never get rid of the Diadem. Getting rid of the Diadem is silly beans, because why would we not want 4 to 5 ults in a single fight? If I have Masamune, I will frequently switch to Frozen Palm over Burning Palm, because I don't need the CDR, because I've got the CDR. I don't really need the damage, so it's nice to make sure that everybody is not able to get out of my shit. But if you are good at Crysta, you don't necessarily really need the Frozen Palm to be landing like your full combos. And so you really miss out on the damage from Burning Palm.
Can you hit me with an R&B? You have Frozen?
I do.
Yeah, okay. It is slow.
Yeah. You can still dodge it, but it's harder. And especially it's very apparent on your ult. It becomes a lot easier to land your full ult. But if you land one extra ult shot versus you're consistently hitting them for 5% of their HP over 3 seconds permanently, you really notice the lack of damage without Burning Palm. But Frozen is still definitely good. When Burning Palm is inevitably nerfed, and especially if your teammates are burning it or are running it, if both of them are running it, go for it.
Okay.
Go for the Frozen Palm. Kicks always rocket high tops. I mean, the difference is like staggering, even post nerf.
Yep.
Like that's crazy. Yep. And you just are that it allows you to get way further around walls for your auto. It allows you to kite better. It allows everything that you would ever want. And then for the relic, I would never run Songbow unless it's 3-star, especially post nerf. I don't think it makes sense to with how inconsistent Crysta's autos are to run Songbow if it's below 3-star. If you have like Isochron 1-star and Songbow 3-star, then you should probably run Songbow. But if Isochron's is 2 and above, I just generally value the base help from Isochron's more than I do the Songbow. Because again, my Q is on a 6-second cooldown base with Isochron's, and it's on a 8.5-second base without. And so like in those 6 seconds, if I'm able to get 2 autos, it's approximately the same value, which is not, and it goes.
Oh wow, yeah.
It helps with your dash as well. But if there's ever a situation in which you like throw out everything, and then you're missing all of your autos, or you get third partied or something like that, your cooldowns are so long that you're just really feel cooked. So Songbow has higher pop-off moments, better for clips and such. Isochron's more consistent, better for poking, better for neutral, better for dealing with third parties. But like if you really want to get maximum like super giga value out of Crysta, you run Songbow. And I still, I haven't done enough testing to know for sure which one is the best. I do a lot of vibes-based math and vibes-based gaming here on the stream.
I'm gonna ask. Have you played Sword of the Seven Suns?
I have played Sword of the Seven Suns a little bit. I think it was better before the CDR nerf.
It doesn't have CDR.
Exactly, but now you have less CDR in your build from the other CDR items. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So like having 15% on Chrono before makes it, you feel it a lot less to be missing Isochrons for a Sword of the Seven Suns when instead now you only have 10%. None of this is definitive. This is all very vibes-based. It absolutely kind of feels more like old Crysta, where you have lower cooldowns and do higher damage. You just, to deal with the kinds of things that you have to deal with in 1.0, you just need to have infinite cooldowns on Crysta. And the damage is secondary. In my experience, especially solo queue, especially like now when we're talking, because you're going to be playing in the higher lobbies for the Moonlight training grounds, like when we're talking more coordinated play, maybe having lower cooldowns, higher damage, where your team can fight each other or like focus targets, and have your back a little bit more. Maybe that's where we start to
count more.
Exactly. But until that point, I think I value maximum consistency.
I've also tried a little bit of the Sunweaver, but I think that's the similar point. It gives you the ability damage and
it's not
a little bit of sustain. No.
It gives you less ability damage than Phaetek, doesn't it? Yeah, 5%. It's not very much. The Sunweaver 3 is like nice for the healing and it's nice for a little bit of extra damage, but I would just like so much rather, my ult is on a 28-second cooldown here, and then it's on a 36-second. I would much rather have 12 seconds off of my ult than do a little bit more damage. Let's talk about perks. I go Glider Booster because you just need the speed on Crysta, Farsight, and then Amplified Haste. Those three are core. And then Armor Shredder, obviously. And then I tend to go Rapid Metabolism because the value of being able to pop, 3 pots instead of 2, be able to pop a pot around a corner as they're coming, I find to be very valuable. Armor Regen also definitely has its place. Very last, we're going to go back to watch a couple of clips just to talk about where you're kind of looking to weave different combos, right? Obviously, max damage combo without autos is the RMB Q ult, Q2, and then you ult and ult and ult and ult, right? And then if you want to do that a little slower, it's kind of hard to slow down, but it's basically RMB auto Q, shift auto Q, shift auto for the with the autos.
RMB auto.
So it's I'm gonna do it very slowly.
Yeah.
RMB auto Q, shift auto Q, auto shift auto.
Yeah, okay.
It looks like that. That's absolutely max damage. Is getting all 3 passive procs and 5 autos. And then you follow it up with your R, obviously, at the end. But if you have your R, most of the time, we're just going for the ult after we throw the Q. Because we want to try and, for example, if it's something like a Shrike, RMBQ ult is good because you have enough time for them to still be grounded and get damage on them and follow them up. But if it's like something really slippery, like a Brawl or a Wukong, you kind of might want to throw your Q first and then ult as soon as you get the RMB and use your Q to make it so that they can't exit quite as easily. Because if you go for the Q before the auto, they have time often to dash out if they're not at max range because the ground ends before a lot of the ult reaches them. And then max range, right? You're just gonna Q
now, and then we went over the abilities. This is gonna be really silly. The Q slows.
Yes, it does. It slows while you're inside it and after it damages.
It doesn't say it.
Again, I don't necessarily want to full dash in here for the full combo because too much risk of the fight not going in our favor. Not necessarily losing it, but again, not necessarily winning it. So I see an opportunity to hit 2 people with Q, QR, Q before the first bullet hits. That immediately gives me a passive proc. I can now dash in, redirect my shit to where I'm going to be doing more damage with my ult. I stun her, dash RMB, and then because she's still stunned, I need to throw the auto here now so that she dies and doesn't get away. So instead of hitting the Kingpin, I hit her, and then avoiding in case he tries to slam me or whatever, I'm going to auto Q and then dash downwards and stop looking at him because I just know he's going to die. And then woohoo, and then we kill him. Okay, so Carbine ints gets a ton of damage done to him. I'm not going to immediately throw my ult. Now that he's used his dash and his teammate is on top of him, I'm going to QRQ again because I this time I don't have RMB. But even if I did have RMB, this is a situation where I want to QRQ and then chase them with the dashes that my ult passive gives me.
Right.
And then use my RMB to stop them from running further. So again, I get the passive right before it procs, and now I get 1 passive, 2 passive, 3 now, right? And now they're 1 shot. And I can go in and then pour T3. And I've got my RMB now to get the wipe.
Boom.
This is an example of the absolutely full combo. The kind of in and out style that I was talking about before. So this, I have mecha boosters here. So instead of using my dash to go in, I'm just going to get the little boost. So RMB, immediately, QR, and right, my R is coming out before my Q has landed and before my RMB has even come back. So they're about to all get pulled back into it, and I can just dash forward, and then dash forward, and then RMB again because it's coming back up and he's in range. And then I miss it though because he dodges to the left, but I throw the Q that does the whole thing so I can get another passive proc. And I don't care about the Brawl. I know my teammates have the Brawl. I'm the one who's the most forward. I need to deal with the most forward enemy. And then feather the shot. Don't feather that shot because I know it won't kill me because new things, and then kill him. Damn. And so, again, we're just when we see big enemies clumped up like this, we're looking for forward momentum into AoE. Right? Do immediate, and I just know that it's going to land. And if you know it's going to land, throw everything else. And sometimes you know it's going to land and it doesn't do that.
Sure.
But a lot of times it does. But this is another late game. We're throwing our abilities out in conjunction so that we can ensure the 1 shot. Again, mecha boosters. If we have mecha boosters, there's no need for me to use my dash because I can just get in there for free. And then this is just fucking juicy Crysta land all day. R&B, Q. She goes invulnerable, so I'm not going to dump my ult just yet. I'm holding on to the Q has not Ray procced because she's in her ult. And then again, look, I'm throwing out my R&B so that it's going to bounce against the Tetra wall and instantly ground and hit her, right? So that she can't do anything. And I also managed to kill the Tetra with that because it goes through her wall. This is like another moment. I get the knock. I'm going to throw immediately QR, right? I just reset my R. I just used my R. Knock. I think I go back in. I'm going to QR back so that they can't get me. Because they've got, it's Shiv, Beebo, Tetra. I can't. This is one of those moments where it's like, I was saying, if you have a passive proc, you can just monkey into them unless it's obviously the wrong call. Straight into Tetra, pre-hotfix, all of the hotfixes except for the first one, Shiv. Beebo is not happening. So I have the range back again. I proc all the passives. And then now they're fucked up. And I've got passives on at least one of them. And I'm about to have another one on the Tetra. So now as I can dash in, go up. I see Super Zeep, right? We've got things that can one-shot me. So as soon as I go up and proc that passive, I'm immediately dashing back again. Now I have ult. The second my ult comes up, right? Boom, immediately. And then
how do you have ult up again?
Like the first one I get. So
the first one was from the knock.
Yeah, from the knock, and then diadem.
The third one.
Look, ready? Ult, and then my ult is already on cooldown. That Q, because my ult went on cooldown first, immediately that's a diadem and chrono proc, right? Yeah, chrono, okay. Right? 18. R&B hits, passive hits. 14. That's a chrono and a diadem. 9. 10. And then again.
Wow. Okay.
Auto proc the passive again, then hit an R&B, and now the ult is back up. So like I hit them with like 8 or 9 abilities after that ult in the span of like 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And here's the thing is like it looks really crazy, but nobody else in the world can do it on Crysta like I do. Like not to be like super egoist or whatever, but when I see it, I'll be like, okay, this is the other person who can do it like this. But and then he's got Super Zeep, so we just can't finish the team fight. Especially with the way that Diadem works, you can hit so many abilities after your ult goes quote unquote on cooldown, but is still active. And so like once you get good at chaining those abilities while your ult is active, then like that's the fucking sauce. Because you can if you play it right, you can get 3 diadem procs while your ult is still active, and that's also chrono. It's also chrono procs. Crazy. Because your chrono is proccing off of your ult as well. Chrono is proccing off of those abilities. It's a lot of value, and the timing is so tight for those, and the combos are like a lot harder to hit than you would think. But when you do, the value is pretty obscene.